Hello, welcome back to our bookshop in Tring. My name is Ben Morehouse, and today we're talking to Laura Brand and Willow Crossley, two authors who've both published books on a similar sort of vein. Firstly, Laura's book, The Joy Journal for Magical Everyday Play. It's very much about parental nurturing and helping them come up with craft ideas for their young children. And Willow Crossley has her book, The Wild Journal, A Year of Nurturing Yourself Through Nature. So very much more about personal nurturing. So it's a wonderful chat. They're both good friends, so it almost feels like we're just earwigging on a pair of lovely people having a good conversation. So do enjoy, and welcome to Willow and Laura.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Hi, Willow.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm really well, and I also noticed that we're wearing.
I noticed too. I love
We've got our
so
own.
much.
It's like a little. It's like a uniform for the chat.
Yes.
I'm guessing your Roxanne first necklace.
Oh, I love it so much. I get
Me
more
too.
comments on this than anything. Did
Me
you make that
too.
one special?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. I was like, oh, I really, really would love one of those, and we went to school together, so it was kind of.
Did you? Oh my God, it's such a small world. Yeah, so I should have one saying wild. You have your joy.
100%. I know. Or we could both just have one saying journal, given that journals in both of our titles. Yeah. I've got your beloved book here.
I have yours.
Willow, I'll just go straight in and say I basically just inhaled the whole book and had to actually pause in one bar, I had like a 3-hour bath, which is, it's not unheard of, but it does mean I stay up really late because my kids don't go to bed until late sometimes. And I was like, my book arrived and I got into the bath and I was like, I'm going to read this just a little bit before going to bed. I literally could not.
Did you?
I was turning corners, going, right, okay, let me remember that. And I actually need a lot of gardening help, so there's actually practical stuff like the sowing seed section that I'm literally like I've put down the corner for.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, I love it. So thank you for writing such a beautiful book that isn't just about gardening, but is about mindfulness and well-being, and it's everything. You know, if you're in touch with that sort of connected to nature, or if you want to be connected to nature, it's the perfect book.
Oh, I'm so glad. I hope it's because I wanted it to be quite good for kind of not just beginners, but people who have kind of got an interest already. So I hope you kind of found it wasn't too basic or.
No, oh my gosh, not at all. To be honest, like I said, I actually posted yesterday because we're in National Children's Gardening Week. Yeah. And I am not I said, I'm not I don't really have the skill set yet. You know, it's something that I'm trying to learn about, and when I do try to grow things, either maybe I just haven't set myself up for success. So there is really practical things that I am gonna look at for myself, actually literally for this week. And I probably need to ask you while I've got you on the line, I've got sunflower seeds for this week that I wanted to plant. The best. That's what I thought I could do with my daughters. And so to be honest with you, it's perfect, and it's not too basic, because also the well-being aspect that you sort of weave through the book is we're like so on the same page. I literally was like reading moon bathing, your thoughts, forest bathing, barefoot walking. It's literally like I'm
what reading. You do.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Yeah. I'm so happy that you like it. Are your babies into kind of, how old are they again?
3.5, Mabel, and two in a few weeks' time, Peggy.
So they're little.
They are really little, which is like, in a way, actually, that's the perfect question. If you don't mind me just asking, picking your brains about toddlers. Obviously, have you got 3 boys?
3 boys who are 10, 8, and 5, so a bit bigger.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, well done. Congratulations on surviving lockdown so far.
Wow.
And second of all, were your boys when you were doing flowers and when you were gardening and sort of, I guess you've always, obviously, you know, obviously I've read the book, but I just wanted to know a little bit about what stages your boys were at and how you would involve them when they were younger, because I do try to, we spend majority of our time in the garden, and we feel incredibly lucky at this time particularly to have a garden, but also on walks we're pointing things out, and if I don't know the answer to something, I will Google it, or I'll take a picture, or in some cases if I feel like we can take it a little bit home with us, like if it's like some cow parsley or whatever, dandelion, I mean obviously we know what a dandelion is, but my daughter wants to know everything, and I really wanted to know, first of all, how did you sort of do it with toddlers, and with sort of like, you know, without them sort of stomping everywhere and demolishing the garden, because I don't know where to draw the line with, like, my children pick flower, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, it's okay if it's like a craft and I've said it's okay, but it's not okay if it's
they don't know that they can't decipher that line, can they, between like nature pick and then your garden.
Exactly. So like,
really
I just wanted to ask you, did you have any particular sort of tactic to stopping the sort of demolition of your roses?
No, not really. I mean, when mine were that little, I didn't kind of find the energy, I guess, to do all the gardening. It's now that they're bigger that I'm able to kind of take myself. I do like sunflowers and things with them, but I think when they were smaller, what we did was loads of walking. We'd go walking in the woods and we'd do lots of kind of treasure hunts and things. So I'd be like, can you go and find me 4 feathers? Can you go and find me a stone that's heart-shaped? And I think kind of bringing that kind of excitement to it, and with my boys it's all about competition. If one can't find it, it's like the dreams, they're just always kind of competing with each other. Once you can bring the kind of natural love into it, I think as they grow, they kind of, it's ingrained in them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally, I completely agree with you. In a way, it's like that. Actually, I write in my book about scavenger hunts or nature, you know, nature hunting, and I made, like you saying, about a heart-shaped stone or whatever, and I actually make cards and draw something, you know, and if people can't draw, like if you don't feel like if you don't feel like you want to draw, you could print a picture off and say, look for something that looks like this or whatever. And I tend to draw on cards and write, you know, a stick that looks like, you know, that you know, that you could use for a twig person, and then you kind of go off and like look for that. I think I completely agree, like making it part of the play and not being, in a way, it's about sort of like being respectful. When you go on a nature walk and it's like a woodland that's, you know, they have often there's a signpost at the beginning, which is like, you know, take pictures, you know, take pictures, like enjoy, but don't, you know, take nothing but pictures, or whatever that, there's a like a quote that you see, you know, leave no trace. That's sort of like quite sweet. It's quite kind of poetic. It's not, I'm not remembering it at all, but there's often like a poetic quote about basically enjoy it, but like don't leave a trace,
it where it
don't
is.
Take anything home with you, leave it where it is. Exactly. And I really, only at 3.5, my 2-year-old, you know, whatever, she's not, it's difficult. It's really difficult to manage that sort of element of it. But with Mabel, my 3.5-year-old, I am getting in, you know, I had to teach her about not picking bluebells, which I hadn't really, I didn't know. I didn't know. And I think possibly a lot of people don't know that you shouldn't pick bluebells, right? So, I mean,
it's hard that.
It is hard. And I thankfully, she had only, you know, there was one little picking, and then I remembered, or somebody had sort of pointed an article out on the Woodland Trust or whatever, and I read it and I was like, wow, you know, obviously they're a protected species, so if they're not in your garden, and you know, if they're out and about, like, you shouldn't be picking lots of things anyway. I have to teach her. I was being educated, and then from that was able to say, look, okay, we can't touch the bluebells. We've got to be really, really gentle and delicate and carefully walk around them and not treading on them and things like that. And I have to say, like, yeah, I really admire, like, I wouldn't be able to, it's not, flowers don't last very long without my children, like, pulling the petals and pulling the flower heads off. So
I think that's experimenting anyway.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's a lot of experimentation, but I must say it's reassuring to learn that this is not like you know, it's normal, and also that you were probably doing a bit more of it in a dedicated way when your children were older. It makes me feel less sort of ill-equipped in the garden, because I'm just
no, you've got nothing. No, I mean, don't like beat yourself up at all. There's so little. Like I remember when the little used to collect, like walk around collecting fir cones and things, which I think is great, like little flower pots, and seeing how many they can find and counting them and all that kind of stuff. And they adore that. And I think just be encouraging. But do yours do, I mean, all your incredible, makes me feel such a kind of rubbish parent, all your amazing projects.
No. Yeah.
Like, how do you, with them being so small, how the hell do you find like the time and the patience do you do it with them?
To be honest with you, a lot of the stuff we do, and like I hope that I write explicitly about it. Certainly if I'm posting something on Instagram, I'll make it very clear that usually something won't get finished, or it will turn up, it'll end up a way that I wasn't expecting, but in a way that was perfectly enjoyable for my children. And that's the point. I'm really into like the process for them and for the enjoyment of the sort of journey of making. So really I don't set the bar too high with trying to achieve a certain thing. If I, with my 3.5-year-old, she is into measuring and putting ingredients out and things. However, a lot of the time, if we're doing like Play-Doh and, even with the squishy soap, I will find like everything in the book is really, really quick and easy to set up. So it shouldn't take ages. And a lot of it's with stuff that's already in the house. So if it's like an example of how I would set up for the girls to make Play-Doh, homemade Play-Doh together, would be that I give them like almost exactly the same tools as well. Otherwise they fight over sharing and things like, so-and-so's got a better bowl than me or whatever. So I have like, I just give them like a scoop, literally it's like a scoop of flour, scoop of flour, scoop of salt, scoop of salt, and put it on a tray each. And it's just like takes me 1 minute, not even, to put the ingredients out. And then I do sort of watch them as they put things in, and if they put a little bit too much in, or if they put a bit too little in, I sort of just go with it, and I ask if they want, would you like me to help you or whatever. And I do allow that sort of activity to get sort of messy, and I prepare the space for it. And that's just by having like brown paper to hand to put over the table, or towels, or a bowl of water. And it is about sort of having a sort of prepared space and being okay with it not being a focused, like more like a bit of a free flow, playful, messy experiment. And a lot of the time the Play-Doh now works out really well, and they really love it, and they play with it for ages. And then we put it in a jar, and then the next morning they've got Play-Doh, and we might set it up again, just rolling pins and cookie cutters. And again, it's just going back to the same, they're returning to an activity they had made homemade the day before, and it doesn't, again, it's not taking me any time to set up. So I don't, things that take me longer, I'm usually more disappointed. So I feel more like I've put, like I do feel like sometimes people ask me, oh, but my kids won't sit down for longer than 2 minutes, I can't get them to make this thing. I would just say, like, try and, like, if they're not into the focused making of a thing, children will be all so different. So like you could give one child the task of replicating a thing in clay, and they might be really into that, and they might be into that for an hour, or another child might be into that for like 1 second, and it might not be what you want it to be or what you expected it to be. And I suppose it's about being at peace with whatever the outcome, as long as they feel like they're connected, that you're not losing your cool, and also that they are sort of having a joyful, fun time doing it. And it's hard because especially if you're managing children of different ages. That's
I was going to ask you that. So what would you recommend, like, out of all your gorgeous projects, for a 10, 8 and 5 who are into completely different things, are there a couple that you would suggest to have a start with?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, like my two I was writing it from the point of view of like, I've got 2 really tiny children. So a lot of it's like stuff where there's quite a lot of parental, well, no, to be fair, if the children are older, they can take the recipes and do the measuring and stuff themselves. So that's why I would suggest, like, but it depends, again, it depends how how messy you're willing to go and things. I mean, I would say that the nature activities you could do, like if you were going on a day, like one on the walk, or if you do have a garden, I suppose what you could do is choose an activity like the nature hunt cards that you maybe get them to make together before going on the nature hunt.
That's a nice idea.
So that can be that one, maybe the older one is drawing, one's colouring in, maybe then on the hunt you've got something in mind, like the sort of twig worry dolls or something. So then it's like,
I love those.
so the twig and twine worry dolls can also be advanced. They can be more advanced than I make them, if that's what, you know, you could bind string all the way down the sticks, or put the hair on, like we like wool hair on, and like I don't think other than a homemade glue recipe that I put in the book, I don't tend to use much glue or anything for my activities, because it's meant, but there's a lot of twine action. I'm guessing you've got quite a lot of twine.
A lot of twine.
Exactly. So I think stuff where they're making things with their hands and it's got like a nature connection. So maybe not for your boys, but like I know a lot of the sort of 3-4 age group are like making nature ones, and they don't have to be like super like sparkly girly things. They can be like wizard ones or whatever. In fact, I've got a couple in the back.
That's some up there.
Yes, these I made the other day. With I get like, so for instance, this one has just got like grasses and a feather, and then I do put like ribbons off, because that's what appeals to my children.
The girls,
like that's what appeals to my children. But what you would do is do a foraging activity where it'd be like find fallen things only. So no picking, but like find things you can, like on the forest floor if you're on a walk somewhere lovely, or like different grasses. And there's also nature like paintbrushes, so that would be another thing that's similar to that would be, you know, paintbrushes, like literally like tools to paint with, but made with the, you know, with the things you find. So I would put like a bunch of these and then sort of bind them over the top of a twig, and then get them sort of mark making if they're toddlers, but maybe a bit more sort of, but maybe Monet a little bit more on a massive exactly, a bit more of a Monet project on a massive piece of craft roll on the grass on the lawn or something, or on the kitchen table. I mean, the ones that I see, like I do see, like, it's difficult because I can, you know, toddlers are, for my girls who are, you know, just early years and a toddler, like they do like water activities, and we freeze things in blocks of ice, and like they chip away, and we do like that. For them is when they are as siblings most happy playing together
in the water. Mine is like that. And I love your bath jellies. I think that's just genius.
What's that?
The bath jellies.
The bath jellies.
Is it not like soapy jelly?
In one of
that one.
Oh no, they're bath crayons.
I just thought, because when even all 3 ages, I get them in the bath, and they can sit for hours. So I thought it's so clever of you to just
them
there for the bath.
It's so easy. I mean, it's like that does take, you know, that takes like a little bit of prep, but that's sort of like grating, but only in the grating soap, putting it in a bowl, getting some food colouring out, and then laying it out for them to make themselves. But like that is literally as far as the prep would go, and it's maybe again.
Is that like high end? That's like the toughest one to make.
No, that would be something that if I was doing it with my children, I would probably, actually my 3.5-year-old would do the grating now. But when I was writing the book, I would like prep the grated soap, and she would do the stirring. But for your boys, they would do the grating.
They would do it
themselves. Exactly. So they would definitely do that. And if you have any like silicone molds for, like, you know, I know I've seen like people doing seashell shapes for the bar, like of the crayons, or dinosaurs or whatever, like an ice cube tray that's got fun shapes or whatever. That you pour the mixture into that and then freeze it, and then they've got these cool, fun little bath crayons, and they really work. I'd go with dark colours. That's my tip, because they work best. And yeah, it's really that is a really good one, because they can make that themselves and then use them. That's the sort of stuff I do think works really well.
Yeah, and I think what's so great about it is that for me, I find, especially now, kind of in Corona times, I feel so frazzled. In fact, I feel so frazzled all the time, kind of, you know, how just juggling life, work, cooking, everything. And I always want to do these things, but the fact that it's all together in one bit, and the layout is so simple, and like the time it takes to do it, it's just like a present on a plate being this.
Thank you so much.
You've done it so beautifully. You should be really proud of it. It's so cool.
Thank you. Thanks, because that's one of the things, like, obviously I wrote this book before this, well before this time that we're in, and I didn't, what I found was spending time at home with two really little children, wanting to do stuff with them, but not always wanting to run to the shops every 5 minutes to go and get craft materials or whatever. Like, it just wasn't practical for me, and I wanted to do some. A lot of it's done in, a lot of the stuff is stuff you can do in the kitchen, because that's where I spend all my time. So it is sort of like, you know, the simplicity and the sort of stuff you've got in the kitchen cupboard really appeals to me, because it does mean that when you are a bit frazzled and you think, oh my god, what am I going to do, like what are we going to do, and even if you haven't got like like we do there's an activity which is pressed flower jars, so just I keep everything as well, and I'm sure this is something you've probably done before. If not, then it's definitely up your street, because it's pressing flowers, and it's like, obviously I don't go into too much detail about that, because that's not something that I just sort of did a very quick one, because you just want it to be flat just for this particular activity. But I know that there's the pressing flowers in your book towards the later. In fact, I had to stop myself, because I didn't want to spoil, although I did read the introductions for each season, I didn't want to go full throttle into autumn winter, because your book's so cleverly set up, like separated chapters are by the season. And I was like scooting along, seeing things I wanted to do now, and then realizing, oh, hold on a sec, like maybe I should just save
that. Of your time.
Yeah, exactly. That's a more cozy project or something, you know, it's nice. So with the pressed flower jars, like I didn't have anything when I was making them to actually stick the petals or flowers on with. So I thought, okay, can we make a glaze? And it's not like a glaze, it's not going to be it's not crystal clear, it's a sort of frosted glaze, because it's just using, you know, what things I had at the time in the cupboard, but it sticks them on and it creates this kind of frosted effect. And when you put a little candle, it's really lovely. And so I put the instructions for the recipe, for the glaze in there as well. And I wanted to make it a thing that you can sort of use the book for all the activities. So you've got like a homemade glue you can use for the nature crowns, or homemade glaze for the pressed flower pots. And there's even a finger paint, like homemade finger paint, which actually, homemade bath paint, which also I discovered only through experimenting, you can put on the windows and then it comes off the window.
Really?
Yes. So that's the bath paint recipe. So it was amazing. Sort of trying to do like traditional, simple, easy stuff with things I already had, which is, you know, one of the things I really love about, going back to your book and the well-being aspect, one of the things I really love about things like forest bathing, for example, or moon bathing. Somebody once said to me that they thought it sounded like really hippie to do like forest bathing, and I'm like, for me that doesn't, because it's just connecting with nature, which isn't. It's to me that's like no, that's just exactly, that's
like breathing.
Absolutely, and it's completely natural. And what it is if you're not used to the sort of lingo of, say, forest bathing or moon bathing, it's that feeling that you have when certain things are happening. So if you go on a beautiful forest walk, this is really I suppose for people that don't know about it, what would it be? Well, when you go on a walk and you're surrounded by trees, that feeling you have that feels good, and feels like you feel maybe more, your chest opens, that your head feels clear, that you feel calmer. That is like an introduction to decoding the sort of, you know, that is what it is. And I love that it's like simple, and it keeps it sort of very, 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 very kind of lovely introduction to people that may not have experienced the benefits of forest bathing or moon bathing or a barefoot walk. and you've made it really accessible for people, which is what I think is so lovely, because, you know, if you don't have the inclination or time to read great books on doing that specific thing, but then this is the perfect book for having like a little snippet and, you know, try something out without much of a sort of, you know, you've got so many different sort of self-care aspects in the book that, you know, people will be able to get something for themselves in it. But I think it's so nice to try things.
Yeah, and I think there's so many ways that people are always saying, how can we bring nature into our lives? And people think just because they're not in the countryside. You're in the country, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, it's not like, you know, an isolated countryside, but it is countryside. And yeah, it's sort of, yeah, we've got farms and there's forests, and, you know, it's really, we feel really lucky. It's really, I feel grateful rather that it's.
Yeah, me too. But I think that there's so much that people can do, even if they're not as lucky as we are in being in the country, kind of bringing flowers into the house, or pressing flowers, or bringing plants in, or herbs, or cooking with herbs. I just think there's so much that is so beneficial for us, and that's what I kind of want to get across in there.
That's actually that's perfect, because I was thinking about wanting to sort of suggest things for people, you know, with especially people if okay, so first of all, it would be, what could people do to introduce sort of the outdoors into their home, to sort of connect with nature at home, maybe if they've been on the daily walk. Like, for example, in your book, you do the spring branch, you know, the spring branch, which I absolutely adore, and I do that myself. And then the second part of that question, it's a big question, because this is something that I'm always thinking about, is how to make things accessible. Like you say, if people don't have a garden, what would you suggest for a way of getting kids sort of interested? I suppose it would be like an appreciation of nature and the garden, or at least, is there something that incorporates the walk and bringing it home? Is that, you know, like if it's the spring branches, would you encourage like wildflower arranging for children with their parents? Or
definitely.
So then it doesn't have to be that they're planting things, or it could be also that they do small boxes for a windowsill or whatever, you know, like, so what would you suggest?
I mean, you can start really small by kind of just as simple as opening your windows every morning. I mean, it's looking at, did you ever play when you were little, looking at the clouds, making animals out of the cloudscapes?
Yes,
tiny
we
things
do.
like that, just getting out, taking your shoes off, walking on the grass. If you can't get to a wood, obviously so many people can't, just kind of grounding yourself on the soil, looking at the stars. I mean, I haven't got a clue really what all the stars are, but I think that I did it with my boys the other day, and it's that thing of they're staying up till it's dark anyway, which is pretty magical. But there's that kind of whole celestial world that I think is so magical. So house plants, I mean, obviously pressing flowers, you just need very few of them. I wouldn't, obviously, like you were just saying, encourage people to go and pick kind of armfuls of flowers. But I think even if you're just going to like identify, I'm spending a lot of time at the moment identifying wildflowers and teaching the boys what they are, and I think picking a couple here and there is okay. And they're so kind of, if you don't make kind of heavy weather out of it, they think it's quite magical. And if you kind of random stories, they love that.
That's so lovely.
Yes, I think you can start really small. Like growing sunflower seeds is instant gratification, because they germinate in kind of 8 days.
Well, let's tell me how to do it. So what am I going to need?
Okay, so you need compost. If you can get compost, obviously it's very tricky now, but compost in a pot. If you've got a flower pot, something with drink.
I do have a flower pot, and also I'm actually going to your seed sowing page. Where is it? Which page is you're not going to know necessarily off the top of your head. Let me just
page 17.
Page 17. Okay, so I'm using the book as we speak, right? So I've actually got to page 22, where there's the space for me to write down.
Good,
and although it does, Yeah, it says use the space to record your seedling planting or ideas for next year. This is going to be this week, Willow.
Good.
So I've got my pen. I'm going to write sunflower seeds.
Have a look if you can get. I mean, it's more for you, but I've got black sunflowers, and they are so chic. They're so
my God, I've
Yeah.
never even heard of them.
Have a look at them. Go on like Chiltern Seeds or Marshalls or Sarah Raven.
Okay.
And they're kind of all sending them out a bit, but that would be a really good place for you to start.
And what I'm gonna need a compost. I'm gonna need a pot. What kind of pot does the sunflower need?
I mean, in the beginning, you can have anything. Like the boys come home from school with like plastic cups, you know, like.
Okay.
So anything.
Perfect.
So
for example, something I've been dying to do, which I've yet to do, is sort of reuse it. Well, I'm reusing everything anyway from the house. So it's like, for example, I'm using like yogurt pots for paint mixing and things like that. Really?
Yes,
okay, perfect.
Oh my God, yeah, 100%. Yogurt pot, soil compost if you can get it, because it's got nutrients in rather than just soil from your pot.
Okay, got it.
And then you make a little hole with a pen or your finger straight in the middle, and then drop the seed in, probably kind of a centimetre from the top.
Yeah.
Cover it up. Water.
Great.
Water every day.
And sun,
8 days.
Indoor window ledge while it shoots up.
So they want warmth and they want light.
Okay.
And you're done.
That's live, or rather recorded, but either way, written notes.
Yay. I can't bring myself to write in them. I'm so weird like that.
I know. Do you know what? I included journal pages myself because one of the elements was that I wanted people to part of the reason I wrote the book was to help parents or people looking after children to tap into their own creativity and sort of go with however it's going. And if they find different variations or ways of doing an activity, they can write it down and it can become their own sort of journal thing. So what I actually love about this is that, like, obviously, for asking you about planting sunflowers is like super basic, but to me it's like that's doable, you know. It's like, okay, great,
that's a really good place for you to start.
And I might get my kids to decorate the yogurt pots in some sort of brown, like put a little brown paper around, or you know, with a drawing on or something. They love to do that sort of thing. So thank you for that activity. That's what I'm gonna do.
We've kind of overshot our chatting again. I don't know how.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I could be chatting to you for days.
I know, we can really, I'm launching, I'm
just
doing it like a how-to. Oh my God. Okay.
Maybe we could do it again.
That's so fantastic.
I want to make I'm going to make the worry dolls with the boys this afternoon. I'm such a fan of them, so I think it's definitely time we all did that together. So I'm going to.
Oh, I'm so pleased. Well, I'm going to plant sunflower seeds, and you're going to do worry dolls.
I'm going to make worry dolls.
Thank you, and I've loved your book, and I'm going to keep it at hand because it will take me through the seasons, and it is more than just a book about floristry or gardening or what to do with flowers, flora and fauna, but it's to do with well-being and self-care. So I'm really, really grateful. Thank you, Willow.
Thank you, as am I, my lovely. Thank you for this, and so lovely to chat to you.
You too. Thank you. Enjoy your twig nature hunting.
Oh my God, I will. Yeah, I will. This is coming everywhere. It's literally my new nanny.
Amazing. Well, enjoy.
You. Thank you so much, lovely. Bye.
Bye.
Massive thanks to Laura and Willow for that wonderful 35 minutes of joy, which is what we need right now. So how do you get hold of the books? Give us a call in the shop, 01442 827 653, or read the text in the below the videos, and they will have all the purchase information below there. So thank you so much for joining us. We've got many more author interviews to come. I think I've got 4 others pre-recorded and ready to go, so watch this space.